To the fourth meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on Economic Development, Tourism, and Labor. Apologize for the delay. We have education that meets at 11, and as you can see, we have many of our members on this committee that are on education. So we'll get right into today's agenda. I do ask if you have a cell phone, if you please just turn that to silence or vibrate. We would greatly appreciate it as we conduct our business today. And Sasha, if you would, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Here. Senator Funke Fromeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel, Senator Howell, here. Senator Mills, here. Senator Storm, Senator Thomas, Senator Wilson, Senator Wheeler, here. Chairman Wise.
Present. We do have a quorum duly constituted to do business today. I'm going to go a little bit out of order for one of our guests. I know that it may be pressing for time, and it's an honor to have him here as a guest today. Senate Bill 317, if the bill sponsor, Senator Westerfield, would make his way to the table today. And if he has any of his guests that would like to accompany him to the table, this is an act relating to commercial rights to the use of names, voices, and likeness. Senator Westerfield, welcome to the committee this morning. And you know the procedure. If you just identify yourself for the record and your guests, the microphone in front of you, there's a button to push. You'll see a green light that will come on. And you may proceed, sir.
Chairman, thank you, and I appreciate you letting us go first to accommodate my guests' schedule and availability. I'm Whitney Westerfield, State Senator for the 3rd Senate District. I've got with me my good friend, who I just met this morning, Mr. Eddie Montgomery, Kentucky native and no stranger to the people of this committee.
We do have a committee sub, so we have a motion, and we have a second on the sub.
Thank you.
All those in favor accept the sub as it is, please do so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
I'm Jessie Richard with the Recording Industry Association of America. Happy to be here. Thank you.
So, Chairman and members, very simply, this bill is aimed at AI, and specifically the use of AI to spoof the name, the likeness, the sound, the part of the intellectual property of artists like Mr. Montgomery. We are starting to see, and we've already had bills. Last week we had a bill from Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe regarding electioneering. We've had a bill come off the Senate floor unanimously yesterday, House Bill 207, aimed at AI-generated child pornography. We are starting to see AI implementations, and I've shared with some members of the Judiciary Committee and others the OpenAI platform, Sora, and others that are now creating video content. We have started to see celebrities right now around America and around the world have their name, their likeness, who they are, and their artwork, their what they produce of themselves and of their talent being abused and copied. And we're on the very front edge of the technology and the implementations that exist. This is only going to get worse. We need to create the protections that are in place or that aren't yet in place to make sure that artists like Mr. Montgomery and others whose livelihood depend on their sound, their work, their music, their artwork aren't taken advantage of improperly. The committee sub that you've adopted addresses some First Amendment concerns and includes language from the Motion Picture Association that they negotiated with the Recording Industry Association down in Tennessee, which is considering, I think it's on their Senate floor about an hour ago. I don't know what the outcome of that bill is, and it's also, good, thumbs up. So it passed the Senate down in Tennessee. I believe the Motion Picture Association may still have some other changes, but it reflects the changes that they've asked for. I shared it about a week ago with the Kentucky Press Association with the sub language that you have, and I believe they're neutral on it. They didn't have any remaining problems regarding First Amendment issues. So that's the bill, but I wanted to let Mr. Montgomery speak on behalf of the bill as well.
Well, first off, this is a great honor for me. I was born and raised in Danville, still live in Danville, Kentucky, and this is just all awesome. I haven't been this nervous, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't been this nervous since I was inducted to the Grand Ole Opry and the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. So,
this is way easier than that.
Absolutely.
Way.
I don't know. I got a little help on that one, though, you know. But, my main thing is I was just going to read the statement, if y'all don't mind.
Please proceed. Yes, sir.
And alrighty, thank you, sir. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Eddie Montgomery, and I'm very proud to be from Danville, Kentucky, and still live in Danville, Kentucky. I'm a singer, songwriter, entertainer, and Troy Gentry, my partner, or T-Roy as I call him, We were part of the country duo Montgomery Gentry, and we're both, like I said, from Kentucky. Kentucky has always been the home of incredible music, from Rosine, home of the father of bluegrass, Bill Monroe, to US 23, the country music highway in eastern Kentucky, where a dozen country music legends were born. Our Commonwealth has produced some of the most iconic and game-changing artists in the world. I'm here today to support SB 317 and the important protections it will provide to creative community and all Kentuckians. While on of U.S. and the country music share a common love for our genre and our fans, our own voices and our likenesses, these are unique to us. They are what set us apart, what defines us as individuals and drives our careers. That's for sure. We have spent years developing our voice and our image with others. When others use artificial intelligence and other digital technologies to take our voices and likeness from us without our consent and use them in ways we don't approve. It is a personal and fundamental violation that strikes at the heart of who we are and what we do. Deep fakes don't care if you're famous, an actor, a recording artist, or even alive or dead. Deep fakes are an equal opportunity offenders, harming classmates, co-workers, and policymakers, all alike. False and unauthorized suspicions of driven by the abuse of digital technology can destroy relationships, business, public trust, livelihoods, and legacies. There is undoubtedly a great promise in artificial intelligence, which I think. And as we know, great promise comes great responsibility. We all know that one, because I've messed on it a few times myself. That is why I support the Human Artistry Campaign, a broad coalition of creators and organizations that promote the ethical of use of AI and who understand that it can facilitate but never replace and fundamental human elements of our culture. Of course, creativity is dependent on free expression, and it is important to note that SB 317 safeguards everyone's First Amendment rights. It allows artists the right to express themselves the way they want without digital manipulation. Let me try that again. And it also protects those who want to make uses of our voices and likenesses without our permission, as long as they do, they are doing so in a way that is protected by the First Amendment. Thank you for working so hard to achieve the balance in this bill. I'm so proud of Kentucky is helping lead the way on this issue. SB 317 will have profoundly positive impact on our Commonwealth and beyond. And thank you all so much again for listening to this old hillbilly.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, that old hillbilly did a great job up here testifying this morning. So sorry to put the pressure on you, but you did a remarkable job. Do we have any questions? And I do see we have one from Senator Girdler.
This is all new. It's Greek to me, and he's a geek in it. So, but I do have a couple of questions or concerns. I went to Gatlinburg back 20 years ago when it was popular to go to Gatlinburg. Probably still is, but I've got a family of 38, and so I can't afford to go to Gatlinburg. Anyway, I watched a Tina Turner lookalike, a Tina Turner acolyte, and I wouldn't have known if it was not Tina Turner or whoever. Does this bring that into light, Senator Westerfield?
It still allows tribute performances. That's not a problem. What we're worried about, and of course she's a real human being, this is aimed at artificially and digitally made depictions of people that are trying to fool, trying to steal the performance's voice, look, brand, if you will. Mm-hmm. If you have anything else that you want to add, I think that, of course, she's not using the name Tina Turner, and if she did, that would be a problem, I think. But I'm not the First Amendment expert there. This doesn't address that. This is about the digitally created depictions of artists. Do you have anything you want to add? Thank you. Was she entertaining?
Please proceed.
All right. There's 1,000 Elvis impersonators. What does that do? And some of them are making good money off of, maybe when Eddie dies, there'll be 1,000 Eddie Montgomery impersonators. But
What do you think about that?
yeah, what do you think about that, Eddie?
This
What
doesn't-
happens? What happens there?
This doesn't stop that. Unless someone wanted to using AI, using a computer to copy Elvis, if they wanted to start selling albums with an Elvis sound, with Elvis tracks, and confuse and trick people into doing that using an artificially created sound or what have you to try to mimic that sound, that would be a problem under this bill. But again, those are tribute performances, and the people that are going to see those folks know that they're going to go see folks that are pretending to be
Well,
so.
I was concerned about the money part of it.
Go ahead.
So this bill is limited to digital depictions, as you've heard. There's an existing right of publicity here in Kentucky already that precludes somebody from making a commercial exploitation of someone else's name and likeness. So what this bill does is it updates the law for AI for digital fakes. There's already laws on the books that deal with the types of circumstances that you've been discussing.
You know, and I think it wouldn't be like somebody stealing our voice or saying if we was saying finance or whatever, and they put it out there and go, hey, I got his voice, we got the picture of him, put that out here, hey, I'm running this bank, and I need money,
Right.
and it's all a lie, you know, and they could be using famous people's names, you know, any financiers or whatever. You people will hear that's who they're going to go after anyway, because most people are going to believe it and they'll drain them.
And I can't stress enough how sophisticated these systems are today,
Yeah.
and that they can confuse and do confuse people today.
I have one more, and I was this gets into it a little bit deeper, and I saw your thing. It said 50,000, and not the amount of lawsuits and all that. Me being in the insurance business, anytime you mention litigation, and especially when a lawyer brings it, I kind of read that a little bit different than he does. But anyway, if my granddaughter, which is quite beautiful and does advertising for somebody,
Sure.
and she uploads her highlights on YouTube, and it gets lots of views, and companies run ads off of it. Does she have the right to sue those advertisers for the portion of the sales related to those ads? Because
No.
she does that.
No, does the artist have the right to sue? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, my
Yeah,
granddaughter would be the artist.
No, that's a free First Amendment use and exercise of that. What this prohibits and those penalties you're talking about are if she used a computer to try to create or fake that artist's performance, that would violate this statute. Sharing it publicly, talking about it, commenting on it, whether you're the news or just somebody with a YouTube channel and just commenting on it, the First Amendment protections there apply. That's not an issue. If she, and I can't imagine a young girdler ever doing that, but if she had a computer system and wanted to try to fake that artist's performance in some way and monetize that is when this bill would kick in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Senator Frankie Fromeyer.
So you might have felt a little bit nervous, Eddie, but I felt excitement when I saw you sitting there because I got to see you at the Grand Ole Opry a few years back. And I applaud you, Senator Westerfield, for making this absolutely real. This is such a real issue, and you've got the real live example as to why. So I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Oh, no, thank you very much. I've always wanted to see it anyway. I never did get to see it when I was going to kids, going to school. So this is pretty awesome for me. It's like I said, I haven't been this nervous in a long time, and I played in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and it's still, when I'm like, oh, my gosh.
You know what? Your testimony is something to be proud of, something you can hang your hat on.
There we go.
That's good.
That was good.
Members, we have quite a few bills today. I'm going to run through real quick of questions if we can kind of wrap this one up. Senator Wheeler, you're next.
Senator Westerfield and Mr. Montgomery, good to see you. If, for example, and like you say, AI is, I'm not nearly as up on it as you are, but say, for example, if I was a good songwriter, which I'm not, but say I had that talent, but I couldn't sing worth a lick, which is true. But I write a country song and tell the AI, please sing me this song in a baritone in the style of Eddie Montgomery. and I played that on the radio, and it doesn't mimic his voice exactly, but I assume there's probably a digital trace they can do with a microphone. I know when you speak, everybody has a unique cadence that can be reflected on a graph when you see that. Would such a thing as that be something that could be sued for under this bill?
You were good until you put it on the radio. You were good until you tried to make money off of that. And if you want to create it on your own for your own enjoyment and entertainment in your household, I don't believe this bill addresses that. But the specific causes of action in Section 5 and 6, or the damages there, talk about the specific actions in 4, distribute, transmit, or otherwise make available to the public that cloning service or that mimicked or digital depiction. Publish, perform, distributes, transmits, or make available to the public a digital voice replica or digital depiction with knowledge that it was not authorized by the artist or the holder of those rights, whether it's the artist or the artist's estate. And then the last one, if you materially contribute to, direct, or facilitate those first 2 actions. So I don't think until you try to monetize it or you distribute it to the public do you create a problem.
What if you just said, find me a country baritone voice, just a generic one that, sometimes you can buy stock footage, stock voices. Maybe it sounds very similar to somebody else's.
I think you're asking a fine question, but it's going to be a fact-based question. And if you try to pitch it as Eddie Montgomery, I think you're in trouble. But if it's just a generic baritone voice, you may not be in trouble. Now, if the closer you get and more you approximate Eddie Montgomery's voice, or maybe the lyrics to songs he sung, or what have you, I think you're getting closer to the line of risk
so if
there.
You called it the new hit by Philip Wheeler in an AI baritone voice generated by ChatGPT.
I think you're safe legally, but horribly endangered commercially.
Thank you.
I will say, with Senator Wheeler's storytelling, I think he could be a really good songwriter one day. That Pike County will come out just proud.
We need them.
Last question. Senator Storm, you have it.
Thank you, and I apologize for being a little bit late. You may have already addressed this, but let's say hypothetically you mentioned when I walked in Senator Mays Bledsoe's AI campaign bill, I think.
Yeah.
So that prompted this thought. If I have a Facebook campaign page and someone comments with an AI-generated image of an opponent of mine, which thank goodness I don't have an opponent, but let's just say they did that, or they put a recording of an opponent of mine on my campaign account, am I, as the candidate, accountable for that?
No. Because first of all, you don't run and manage that platform. Facebook isn't either. The person who posted it would be, but not under this bill. That would be under Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe's bill.
Okay.
I think it would be violative of that. It does not apply here unless you are also a performing artist of some stripe and variety, and this was an intent, or that post was an intent, an attempt to mimic your performance. That's only what this bill applies to.
But I would not be
No.
just because it's on my Facebook page.
No.
Thank you.
Now, if that would change, the analysis would change, I guess, if it was your own website and you managed who moderated the comments or the posts, and if you allowed that to be there, that could trigger this again if it's a performance or under Senator Mace Bledsoe's bill. But that's if it's your website. The Facebook page, that's not you.
Thank you.
See no further questions. Sasha, please call the roll. Oh, we have motion on the bill. Motion, Senator Boswell. Second, Senator Funky Fromeyer. Sasha, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel.
Explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Please proceed.
I vote aye. And Mr. Montgomery, I get what you mean about being nervous over there. Earlier this morning, I sat in a similar chair with Senator Westerfield as the chairman. And it's 20 years for me, so I get the nervousness. But I think that this is something you should be proud of.
Like I said, it's a great honor being here and meeting everybody I've already met today. It's awesome. So I reckon I can write that off my bucket list.
Senator Howell. Senator Mills.
Explain my yes vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote yes on this, and obviously this is emerging technology. It's changing, and like several of the things on our agenda today. And I think there's been a lot of effort put into moving this, and this does move it down move this issue down the field. So thank you for your testimony as well. Thank you.
Senator Storm. Senator Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to briefly explain my aye vote. Senator Westerfield,
Please proceed.
I totally agree that we need to move into AI space. I was a co-sponsor with Senator May Bledford in the political arena. You're dealing with the name, image, and likeness arena. I filed a bill earlier this year to deal with it in the education area. I have said since the beginning of the session that the most important matter we've got to deal with as lawmakers in this country is the impact of AI on our society. So I proudly vote aye, and I'm glad that you're doing this in the commercial name, image, and likeness area.
Senator Wheeler.
Mr. Chairman, explain my vote.
Please proceed.
I think it's a good bill, and Mr. Montgomery, we'd probably love to see you at 2 o'clock on the Senate floor if you'd like to sing the national anthem. It's an open invitation.
Is that a duet?
I don't know, maybe.
Just checking.
Senator Wilson. Chairman Wise.
Aye, the bill does pass. Thank you all for the discussion. Thanks for the questions today. Mr. Montgomery, thank you for being an ambassador for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next bill on our agenda, I'm going to go a little bit out of order due to some of the time frame of our guest. I'm going to go with, I think he's still here, Senator Givens' bill. Jerry, you ready? Okay, I looked at you and you give me the no. Okay. Let's go with Senate Bill 368. Senator Jay Williams. Jab, well, like I said, I saw you doing this. I thought maybe you're walking out the door. Jay, please introduce yourself for the record. Please proceed.
Senator Jay Williams, District 20.
Jason Underwood here on behalf of Airbnb.
Thank you all. Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Senate Bill 368 really is simply a notification bill. It does not change any laws, any statutes, or anything. What it does, and first of all, I'd like to clarify the R1 that's in here has nothing to do with zoning. It's an occupancy, okay? And what the residential group R1 building occupancy applies to boarding houses, congregate living facilities, hotels, and motels if they have 6 guest rooms or more and they're not owner occupied. Okay, so what happens right now on the Airbnb sign up and register, we had and there you should, if you are in this category, have an inspection to make sure all the fire safety codes are correct. So all this bill does is to permit when you sign up and I'll let the Airbnb talk here shortly. When you sign up on the website, they can send a notice to the owner and to Housing Building Construction that somebody has advertised a 6-bedroom or more facility. Currently, there are 153 that are advertised in Airbnb in the state. Those wouldn't even be part of this. It's only a new one as it comes up. And so this is going to occur over a period of time. DHBC has asked for no additional funds, no additional requirements. So, but with that, I'd like to let Jason.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Senator. First, I'd like to thank Senator Williams. This came out of a discussion we had, a bill that Airbnb was bringing to the legislature about localities and how they regulate Airbnbs. And there was a tragedy in Senator Williams' district, and we discussed what we could do about it. This is a bill that Airbnb supports throughout the country. We certainly, if someone is listing either on our platform or another platform, we certainly want there to be inspections to make sure that the guests know that they are safe. The only issue, and I've told Senator Williams this, we have with the bill, we got him language a little bit late.
We have a motion on the bill. Do we have a second from Senator Howell? Okay. Sasha, if you would, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell.
I support the concept of this bill, but I had some questions about it, so I'm going to have to vote no. I'm sorry.
Senator Funky Fromeyer. Aye. Senator Gardler.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Aye. Senator Howell.
Aye.
Senator Mills.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thomas. Aye. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Wilson. Chairman Wise.
Aye. Bill does proceed. Senator Williams, thank you for your testimony today. Next bill on our agenda is Senate Bill 128, Senator David Givens' bill. Just a second. Senator Givens, welcome this morning to your guests as well. I do see we have a committee sub on the bill. I've got a motion from Senator Wheeler, and I have a second from Senator Mills. All those in favor of adopting the sub, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Senator Givens, the floor is yours.
Chairman Wise, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I don't know that I've appeared before this committee, and certainly am appreciative of the work that you do because economic development in our Commonwealth is so vitally important. I'm excited about a presentation that I have before you today, and I will be succinct because I know time is valuable, but the story and the backstory is really important to help frame this conversation, so I'm rapidly going to move through that. Over the course of the last few years, I've been honored to have the chance to work on the Commission on Race and Access to Opportunity. During the last interim, as we were having those meetings, these fine gentlemen from One Lexington and others came and talked with us about something that struck a nerve with those of us on that committee and gave us an opportunity to launch the legislation you have in front of us. I'd like for these gentlemen to introduce themselves, share with you a little bit about their story, and then what we're doing with this legislation to open up opportunities for young people.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kenneth Payne with One Lexington, out of the mayor's office in Lexington, Kentucky. I too am from Danville, but I'm no Eddie Montgomery.
Welcome.
My name is Larry Johnson, also with Larry Johnson, also with One Lexington from the mayor's office in Lexington, also representing Divine Karama, who is our executive director.
Perfect.
So what One Lexington does, for those of you that may not know, some years ago they were formed to address gun violence, specifically among youth in Lexington. And the presentation that we had at the interim joint committee over the summer was, how do we engage young people in productive activities? And perfect case in point, one that comes to my mind is if you have a young man or a young woman age 13 that wants to volunteer to help fold t-shirts for a 5K that's going to be happening on Saturday morning and Friday evening, they'd like to help that nonprofit fold t-shirts for a little bit of money. Right now, state law prevents a nonprofit from hiring a 12 or 13-year-old to be able to work in an effort to develop soft skills, develop work skills, develop the sort of skills that we think the workforce needs, but we have barriers in place to prevent these young people from those opportunities. So the conversation we engaged in was, how could we find a way to protect any abuses that might happen? That's where this gentleman's going to come in just a moment and share with you some of the protections that we have in the legislation. We don't want labor to start abusing 12 and 13-year-olds for the purpose of putting them to work beyond what they should. But we'd like to strike that balance of giving a 12 or a 13-year-old the chance to earn some money, develop a network, know what it means to show up on time and to do something, and get rewarded for it. That's what the legislation seeks to drive to. I'd like to introduce one more of our colleagues here on the legislation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jamie Link. I'm Secretary of the Kentucky Education and Labor Cabinet.
Good to have you, Secretary.
Good to be here.
That's basically the goal of the bill. I'll be glad to address any questions in the meat of the matter, but the genesis is, how do we provide opportunities limited with safeguards? That's why the Labor Cabinet's been involved in the conversation, is to make sure we strike that balance, but still give us the chance for nonprofits to hire 12 and 13-year-olds to do small bits of work that help them develop the soft skills and the work skills and the work experience to move forward in their life.
Thank you, Senator Gibbons. Before I accept that motion and that second, I do have one member who has signed up for either a comment or a question. Senator Thomas.
Senator Gibbons, with your permission, I'd like to talk to Mr. Payne and Mr. Johnson.
Certainly.
Okay. I don't know if you gentlemen you all are much younger than I am, but I don't know if you've ever heard of a program called Micro City Government. That program came about in the late 60s in Lexington and really worked in Lexington for about 30 years. And it was a very prominent program in which youth, Senator Givens, the ages you're talking about even younger, they started at age 10 and went to age 14. And it was a summer program that paid a nominal amount to those individuals. And, they basically pushed paper and did some minor reports. But what it did was it taught them the value of work, showing up every day, getting a task done, working in a collaborative manner with other young people. And I was fortunate enough to be a counselor in that program for 2 years during the time I was in college, and saw the growth and development and the maturity of those individuals. And even today, I come across many of them. You know, they remember me as their counselor, and I look at how well they have done, you know, as adults and how responsible they are with that program. And if you were that program, you know there's been a lot of talk in Lexington about how we can bring micro-city government back in some form. And I think that's what you have in mind with this type of program, to find some way to reinstitute that. And I will say, Senator Givens, I would very much, because you all have done a tremendous job. And you know, we talk about crime, Senator Givens. I don't want to get too off track, but they're responsible with Divine Karama for a 50% reduction in the murder rate and the crime rate in Lexington in the last year. 50% reduction in crime. So I just wanted to say, anything I can do to work with you. Obviously, there need to be some guardrails on here. We need to make sure that we don't run afoul of workers' compensation issues or unemployment issues, of all of that, because we've got to make sure that those issues are in place. But to the extent that we can do this, I want to work with you, because I think that was a great program, and we need to work to bring that back in some form in Fayette County.
Senator Funky Frommeyer.
Thank you. This question comes from a farm girl. So I grew up in DeMossville and the family farm, but it is a for-profit business. So, and I can say that I was pretty good at driving a tractor somewhere around 10 years old. So how would this legislation affect Dunkin' Donuts or Speedway, where my now 14-year-old daughter can walk? But I'm gonna stick with the farm analogy for a second, because farmers make hay while the sun is shining. Yes. And your day at Grandma and Grandpa Punky's may not wrap up at 7 p.m. It may go till, and sunsets around 9 during the summer. Yes. So can you talk me through how that affects our 10, even 9-year-olds?
Sure. And my grandparents were tobacco farmers, so I learned to drive a tractor as well and was on the wagon a lot. Yeah. I think there's a distinction between working for a family business that is at play here, and also there's the question of gainful employment. A 12 and 13-year-old cannot be employed for gainful employment, but for the nonprofit, that's allowable. Does that make sense?
Well,
because
it's
Dunkin'
quite
Donuts
restrictive.
And others would be gainful employment.
Right. It is quite restrictive, and I'll have to brush up on my ignorance of gainful employment and whether we need to readdress that. I do have 6 children, and my youngest is 14, and she's been quite eager to be on someone's payroll other than mom's.
Right. And we wanted to be mindful of responsible protections for young people, and we appreciate the sponsor for drafting a responsible bill in this regard. So, and he did work with the cabinet, and we had our input with it. So at this point, we are supportive of the bill, and we'd be happy to talk with you if you have any questions as well.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We have a motion from Senator Mills. I have a second from Senator Boswell. See no further questions. Sasha, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Senator Funky Frommeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel.
Explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Please proceed.
I'm worried about the safeguards, and I think we need to let our kids be kids while they are kids, and 12 and 13 to me is still to be playing in the yard and having fun. I'd like to see an amendment where if those children don't go to school that day, then they don't work that day. I hope it changes in the House, and I hope that the safeguards are becoming more clear about Social Security and Medicare and things that have been mentioned before. But thank you for bringing this, Senator.
Did you cast your...
No.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Howell. Aye. Senator Mills. Aye. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thomas. Aye. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Wilson. Aye. Chairman Wise.
Aye. The bill passes. Senator Givens, thank you. Thank you for your guest today.
Chairman, thank you. And if I could do a quick shout out, because these things don't happen on their own. A couple of staff people have been so critical to us getting to this place. Vaughn Murphy's worked at length on this, and Brandon White with LRC, and I appreciate them both very much.
Fantastic,
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you so much, Senator Givens. Secretary Link, I'm going to have you maybe sit close by because our next bill is Senate Bill 369. Sponsor is Senator Mike Nemes. If he'd make his way to the table, it's an act relating to the Education and Labor Cabinet reorganization. Senator Nemes, welcome. Appreciate you being here. And if you would identify yourself for the record, please, as we proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Senator Mike Nemes from District 38, Bullock County in southern Jefferson County.
As your guests get settled there, Senator Nemes, if you want to go ahead and get into the bill, you can. Or if they wish to identify themselves now, they can do so.
Go ahead.
Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Jessica Williamson. I'm General Counsel for the Education and Labor Cabinet.
And Mr. Chairman, you haven't gotten rid of me yet, so Jamie Link with the Kentucky Education and Labor Cabinet.
Great. Please proceed.
And this is not a simple little bill, but it's not complicated. And I was going to say I don't have an exciting guest, but I have a young lady here that might be, but I know Secretary Link is not.
I'm not.
So it's something that is common sense and something we're going to help the disability people out. They're over at the Cabinet of the Health and Family Services, and they're kind of just in the wash. So we want to move them to the Labor Cabinet so that they can properly be taken care of and get their what is the proper word? The determinations, and then get to work. And the Education Workforce Cabinet, we're going to move it over there. That's short and sweet. I can read the.
We have a motion, Senator Wheeler. I heard a second from Senator Mills. Any questions? Seeing none, Sasha, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Howell. Senator Mills. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thomas. Senator Wheeler.
Mr. Chairman, explain my aye vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you for bringing the bill. Senator Nemes, you have expressed many times before to me that your desire to help those people with disabilities obtain gainful work, and I'm glad that you're able to accomplish this, I guess, in your previous life in the administration, some of the things you wanted to do. So thank you very much for this bill.
Senator Wilson. Chairman Wise.
Aye. By unanimous vote, the bill passes. Thank you, Senator Nemes. Thank you, guests, for being here.
Motion for consent.
We have a motion for consent. All those in favor of placing the bill on consent, please do so by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you. I'm going to pass over today Senate Bill 345. Senator Brandon Storm's bill. We are passing over Senate Bill 345, so we're going to move directly into House Bill 7. House Bill 7 is an act relating to autonomous vehicles. The bill sponsor for that is Representative Bray.
It's on its way. May I?
Please proceed. Yep. Mr. Higdon, I'll let you please proceed of introducing yourself as we wait for Representative Bray. I will say we do have opposition that has signed up against the bill, and we are at 12:45 on the clock. So if you would, please proceed with your testimony.
Great, thank you. My name is James Higdon. I am a registered legislative agent on behalf of the Autonomous Vehicle Industry Association. I do have some brief prepared remarks, and as Representative Bray walks in, I will allow him to introduce the bill. But just want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to express strong support for House Bill 7. The automation of driving has been an aspiration for decades. And for years, many have questioned when autonomous vehicles would be on our roads. And today I can proudly say they are here now, with applications ranging from autonomous ride-hailing and trucking to delivery vehicles and shuttles operating in states such as Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Louisiana, Michigan, and Texas.
Thank you all.
Bray, welcome.
Apologize, we're in committee over on the House side of things, so I assume Jimmy's explained the bill pretty well, but what this does is provides the regulatory framework to allow autonomous vehicles on the road here in Kentucky. It gives Department of Transportation the ability to monitor, review, implement necessary regulations. There was a House committee substitute that put a driver in semis for 2 years, because last year that was one of the biggest concerns we had heard on the House side was the safety impact on, just that concern. What I can say is we've seen these deployed all across the United States. Our neighbors in Tennessee, West Virginia, states like Florida and Texas, they've not had issues. I can understand, because I've been in that seat, when we're talking about autonomous vehicles, that's kind of a new concept. But the fact of the matter is the data shows it's safe. We've got a report here from Transportation that talks about how their usage will reduce fatalities in Kentucky. The report also talks about how this is a great economic opportunity for Kentucky. And so be happy to take any questions. Apologize for being
You're good. Procedurally, we just need you to identify yourself for the record, though.
Representative Josh Bray, House District 71.
Thank you, Representative. Do we have any questions from any of those that are presenting? Senator Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your presentation. I guess I sat with Senator Mills and Senator Stivers the other day in the Natural Resources Committee about a bill that we filed and sponsored to set up a new regulatory framework to study the decommissioning of certain power plants and other utility organizations. And during that discussion, and I can't recall whether it was Senator Stivers or perhaps Senator Webb made the comment that, obviously a plant that was in my region, Big Sandy, when it was shut down, the immediate impact of that, according to the utility that presented and why it was approved by the PSC, which has a very limited rate-making authority, was that it would save ratepayers in the short term. But in the long run, with the downturn in the coal industry, and you've had hundreds of thousands of people out migrating, rates shot up, actually, by the closure of that plant that was brought about by a short-term decision. Do you have any idea as to how much disruption this will cause in the trucking industry, or how many people you're expecting to lose their jobs by the implementation of this particular bill?
So I've got a study from the Department of Labor that talks about the implementation of this across the country. Right now, we're down 80,000 truck drivers nationwide. There are 80,000 vacancies as we speak. It's estimated by 2030 that number will double to 160,000 vacancies. As we look at bringing manufacturing back from China, and as we start shipping more goods across the country, we've noticed a significant bottleneck within the logistics and transportation aspect of things. We can look at COVID, right? Look what happened when we shut down the trucking industry all across the country. We couldn't move freight then. What did that do to prices to consumers? It shot them up. It made everything hard to get. It made a false scarcity that was caused by the government itself. And so all this does is it provides companies the opportunity to utilize this within certain aspects. This will not replace the truck driver. I mean, as this has been rolled out in other states, it's not replaced the truck driver. It's mainly used to get product from a distribution hub to a specific spot or a specific retailer. And it's done, it's done during shifts that are less likely to be currently filled. I mean, if you've got 80,000 vacancies as we speak, who wants to be the third shift driver? And that's what we've seen across the country, how it's utilized. The technology's put in place when there are fewer vehicles on the road because it's just more efficient. So I'm not concerned long term about job loss because of it, because we're always going to need truck drivers. That's a fact. It's just another opportunity for consumers, for businesses to utilize the technology to make sure they can get stuff from point A to point B safely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Senator Thomas, question or comment?
Yes. A question for Representative Bray.
Please proceed, please.
Representative Bray, all the data I've seen on this indicates that there's still a lot of uneasiness regarding what they call highly autonomous vehicles on the roads. These 18-wheelers, something to the tune of about 80% of people still are very nervous about it. And you indicated that there's still going to be a need for truck drivers. My question to you is very straightforward. Would you be willing to entertain a floor amendment to your bill in the Senate that would, at least for right now, still require a truck driver in the vehicle as a fail-safe mechanism or measure, so that in the event that there was some kind of computer glitch or mechanical failure, whatever, that there'd be a human being in the truck to avoid any kind of a highly serious accident, tragic accident on the roads. Would you be able to entertain that kind of floor amendment? Because that is my thinking, is what I would like to see as part of this bill to be comfortable voting for it.
So within the bill that's before you, there is a provision that has a driver in there for 2 years as the technology is rolled out. I'm not familiar with the stats or studies that you're referencing that 80% of people are uncomfortable with it. I would surmise that 80% of people don't understand what an autonomous vehicle is to start with. But that provision is in there, and that was added as a House committee substitute. So as far as adding anything additional, I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about adding that in the House, but it did make some of my colleagues feel more comfortable with it, and that's as far as what I would support. I mean, you all are welcome to do whatever you choose in the Senate, but I wouldn't be supportive of that.
Let's have this conversation then offline between the two of you as we leave the committee. We do have some that have signed up in opposition. Shelley Funky Fromeyer, I'll let you go next.
Josh, thank you so much for bringing this. In Northern Kentucky, we have CVG, and there's so much movement, but there is a state road that requires some movement. So this would allow, but can you help me better understand what's the breadth of vehicles that we're referring to? Because we're talking about truck drivers, but can you give more breadth on what effect this might have on our economy?
Absolutely. So I've got a letter here from CVG, and so they currently use automatic baggage tugs. They would like to be able to cross a state road so that they can implement inter-campus shuttles. But there's all kinds of other companies that do far more than just trucking. Waymo, they're a peer-to-peer ride. I mean, it's like a ride sharing similar to Uber, except there's no driver there. That takes place in states like Florida, Texas, like we talked about earlier. That is specifically within a geofenced area, though. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be able to get off at CVG and take a autonomous vehicle from there home to Rockcastle County, because that has to be within a defined map. There is another company that has something, it's a Toyota manufactured vehicle in Arizona and Minnesota, to where they put these in retirement communities so that they can get these elderly people to doctor's appointments, to the pharmacies, to the banks. So we're not just talking about trucking. This bill doesn't speak to trucking specifically. It just allows a wide breadth of technology across the state.
And more specifically, I have a neighbor in DeMossville, Kentucky, that is a paraplegic, and he wants that freedom, but he cannot drive, and he doesn't have a vehicle that he can, roll into and ride away. He's got too many other disabilities. Would this be something, if you imagine our curvy roads of Kentucky, to be able to pick up a paraplegic and take him to the library? I mean, he's got many interests that are just...
Absolutely. And within the Transportation Department's report here that's available online, they speak to the access for the disabled, the access for those, the increased access for those that can't commute on their own, and the opportunity that this is going to provide them going forward. In the House, we had heard some remarkable testimony from Representative Riley, whose son has a form of epilepsy. Can't get a driver's license, and so anywhere he goes, he has to have his dad take him around, and so it's a significant challenge for him. But something like this will provide opportunities, particularly not just in urban areas, but in rural areas. In Rockcastle County, we don't have an Uber because it doesn't make sense. I mean, you're not going to make money, but because the demand isn't sky high for that. But if you had some kind of autonomous vehicle available, you've just now, it doesn't care if it's making a run at 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is asleep. It will provide an increase in access to transportation to those who ordinarily wouldn't have it. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions at this time, I'm going to allow the opposition, if they would come to the table, please. I think we have 3 that have signed up representing the Teamsters of the Kentucky AFL-CIO. If those three individuals would make their way to the table, please. And I do think that they had maybe a letter that was submitted also in the packets for members as well as the opposition letter. I'm going to go first. Bill, if you just identify yourself for the record, and then we'll move on down the line there.
Certainly. I'm Bill Miller. I'm the political director for Teamsters Local 89 in Louisville, Kentucky.
Dustin Reinstedler, President, Kentucky State AFL-CIO.
Christina Hicks, Local 651 Teamsters out of London, Kentucky.
Thank you all. Whoever wishes to proceed, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm going to open up. Thank you, Chair and Co-Chair and the committee for listening to our concerns on this bill. We're here collectively, not only as representatives of labor, but also concerned citizens of Kentucky. Luckily, as we just saw you guys pass Senate Bill 317 through here, protecting celebrities from AI, I'm kind of optimistic that we can provide some protection for our citizens from AI and AV as well. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Bill Miller on some points.
Sure. The Teamsters Union has some concerns about autonomous vehicles, and it should be noted that we're not asking for an amendment to ban these entirely. I have a special needs daughter who will never drive a typical vehicle also, similar to Representative Riley. And I think autonomous vehicle would probably give her the ability to get around better than some other folks. So we're not opposed to autonomous vehicles for personal use. We realize that technology is coming. We'd like to see a no vote until we can get a committee sub or an amendment that requires a human operator for all commercial vehicles. As Representative Bray referred, there is a committee, or it's a floor amendment now, that requires a human operator for 2 years for anything over 62,000 pounds. 62,000 pounds far exceeds the federal definition of a commercial vehicle. 62,000 pounds basically only covers a fully loaded tractor trailer. It wouldn't cover the tractor by itself. It wouldn't cover hazmat vehicles, the UPS package cars you see out there. It would still allow for personal use. If we get a human operator requirement for all commercial vehicles, that's anything with a federal commercial vehicle number, which entitles our drivers to far more stringent, I'm sorry, I went blank there, far more stringent rules they have to abide by and those kind of things. It's what allows the package car drivers to stop in the middle of the road and run up and deliver a package. That DOT federal number is what allows all those things to happen. If we require a human operator for those vehicles, and I know this is going completely different than what the letter I had sent, so we're going to ad lib a little bit. Representatives said there have not been any issues. A very quick Google of accident rates for autonomous vehicles while I was sitting back in the audience shows 9.1 accidents for every million miles traveled. That is about double what human drivers have, about 4.2. It's my understanding. You're welcome to Google that too. I can cite the reference to you and send it to you offline. So there are issues here. There's our grave concerns. President Trump in 2017 cited these are, quote, out of control death traps, according to a Business Insider article. There are a myriad of issues. And what we're talking about here is the polling that was just done in Kentucky shows that 72% of Kentucky drivers are uncomfortable sharing the road with driverless vehicles. 86% when you talk about semi-trucks. These are extremely heavy and fast vehicles, and they should be left in the hands of professionals. If you want to use autonomous vehicle technology, you're certainly welcome to do so, but let's keep a human operator in there for a fail-safe in case something goes bad.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Hicks, I'm going to give you the last comment.
Okay, I was just going to read something briefly. To give you a little background on myself, I grew up in Jackson/Clay County. My father was a truck driver right up until the day he passed. I, too, work in the trucking industry. I've been employed at UPS in London for 17 years. So I guess I could say my whole entire life I've been supported by the trucking industry, which has provided me with a roof over my head, a warm bed, food, and extras in life. For the last couple months, House Bill 7 has been the main topic of discussion for Teamster members that are echoing their concerns to me. With UPS announcing 12,000 new layoffs and companies pushing for the autonomous vehicles, our members fear that they too may lose their jobs, healthcare, retirement, and jeopardize public safety on Kentucky highways. In closing, on behalf of 75,000 household and Teamster retirees, Local 651, we ask that you vote no on House Bill 7. We ask that you please protect our jobs and the safety of Kentucky families. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks.
Dustin had one more follow-up.
Real briefly.
Very briefly, thank you. We just asked that people look into the task force, which is HCR 36, and that goes into committee on Tuesday and is expected to pass. We think this is a important step, the task force, to be able to study these vehicles for some time and then let that task force make the determination if these larger vehicles are safe for our roads. Thanks.
Thank you all for your testimony today. Seeing no further questions or comments, do we have a motion on House Bill 7? We have a motion from Senator Boswell. I heard a second from Senator Howell. Sasha, if you would, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell.
I'd like to vote aye, and I'd like to explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman. I asked myself the question, would I fly on an airplane without a pilot today? No. Would I get in an automobile without a driver today? No. But this technology is coming, and I think we're going to have to be involved in it. I vote aye.
Senator Funke Fromeyer. Senator Gardler.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Howell.
Explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Please proceed.
I just wanted to thank the bill sponsor for all the hard work he's done on this. I know it's been quite a path, and I just want to commend him for being proactive into something that's evolving. I think all too often we fall in the trap of being reactive and letting a technology or something come into play before we try to go in and responsibly regulate it. And I just appreciate his efforts of trying to get ahead of this as the industry continue and technologies continue to evolve.
Thank you.
Senator Mills.
Explain my vote.
Please proceed.
I'm going to vote aye, and my comments really echo what you just heard. This is emerging technology that we need to be leaders in. We've got to figure this out. I do have questions, and I'm going to be following this through the next couple of years. I hope we do have a task force to talk about it and continue to work on it. So I am a yes today. Thank you.
Senator Storm.
Explain my yes vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am going to vote yes today. I think this is a measure that the representatives worked on extremely hard the last couple sessions, and I'd like to allow the full Senate to have an opportunity to vote on this. Again, I'm not here to try to hurt anyone, but I also agree that this is emerging technology and it's something that's here, and we need to develop it as best we can. Thank you.
Senator Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to explain my no vote briefly.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the bill sponsor indicated that we need there's still a need for truck drivers in our transportation space today. I think with the fact that this is still new, as indicated, that was unrefuted today, that it has a twice higher accidental rate than regular drivers in vehicles. It just seems to make sense to me to at least provide for a driver in the truck until we get that accident rate down to where it's comparable to what drivers are. Until we reach that point, I cannot go forward with this because of the high accident rate and the danger it presents to drivers on the road. I vote no.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Wilson.
Explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote aye because I appreciate the work that the sponsor's done. I know this is the second year that we've had this bill, and I appreciate the fact that you have a driver in there for 2 years, which would also give us the opportunity to see how it works in the state, and if we need to have any further conversations or legislation on this, we can do so. Thank you.
Chairman Wise.
I vote aye. I want to thank the bill sponsor for his work on this. I want to thank everyone for their comments, their discussion. And it was interesting looking out, seeing, I thought I saw two twins today sitting up here at the table. I don't know if that was deliberately planned or not, with the hair, the blue tie, and the suit. Senator Storm made a comment as well. So thank you for the professionalism today that both of y'all brought to the table.
We try to color coordinate. Hey, thank you all so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.